and will now yield to the senior Democratic member of the committee, Mr. Miller, the gentleman from California, for his opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Today, this committee meets for the 5th time this year on the issues relating to the National Labor Relations Board. Rather than focusing on getting Americans back to work, the majority is stubbornly continuing their ideological war against workers and their unions. With the majority's laser-like focus on this special interest battle, one could be led to think that our economic problems are the American worker and his or her rights at work. That the worker who exercises his or her right to bargain for a better life is bringing American business to its knees. That a group of employees who ask for safe working conditions have created high unemployment. Or that a massive economic uncertainty is ensuing because employers may have to put up a poster outlining the rights under the National Labor Relations Act. Of course, it's complete nonsense. Our nation's workers exercising their rights did not cause the current economic problems. We all know what did. By exercising their rights, they helped build the middle class. These rights have been on the books for more than 75 years, are not now, at all of a sudden, causing this uncertainty. We should, however, be certain about one thing. Working families are hurting through no fault of their own and need this Congress to take action to create jobs. Instead of addressing their concerns, we are discussing a bill that should be even more appropriately named the Election Prevention Act, because it does just that. Its singular goal is to delay and ultimately prevent union representation elections. This legislation with regard to elections is a little bit like that cab in Compton. It's always coming, but it never arrives. And the idea is to deny workers opportunity and their voice at work. The Election Prevention Act does this in 3 key ways. First, rather than minimizing undue delay in elections, a long-standing problem because of the current law's loopholes, the Republican bill mandates delays. In provision after provision, the bill's overarching concern is the workers' choice be postponed with mandatory waiting periods. Second, rather than discouraging frivolous litigation, the Election Prevention Act encourages. Unscrupulous employers will have an incentive to appeal all pre-election decisions regardless of merit, because no election can proceed until all appeals, frivolous or not, are reviewed. They and their union-busting consultants know that the delay gives them more time to use any means, legal or illegal, to overcome employee interest in forming a union. These appeals will create a massive, wasteful backlog on the taxpayer's dime and a mountain of frivolous litigation. As a result, workers will increasingly have to wait months or years for an election. And as the months and years tick by, this bill clearly hopes that those workers will simply give up. Third, the bill manipulates the procedure for deciding who is in a bargaining unit. Employers will have a larger role in determining who can potentially be part of a union rather than the workers and the union that they seek to join. The practical impact of this change is that employers are going to find it much easier to gerrymander elections. It will increase the chances of an election ultimately never being ordered, and employers will stuff the ballot box with voters who were never engaged by the organizing drive. In summary, by favoring delay at every turn, this bill denies workers their rights to a free and fair election. It is a cynical bill. It takes time away from what we should be doing. We should be acting on America's most urgent priority of creating jobs instead of undermining workplace democracy. This bill does not help a single laid-off worker get retained in a new career, and it doesn't create a single construction job or an education job. It does create a lot of work for union-busting law firms. They get to file frivolous appeals on the taxpayer dime. It does make it harder for workers to have a voice at work. It does make it harder for working people to rebuild the middle class. Cynical, misnamed bills like this only increase discontent among those who sent us here. They see a special interest bill getting the time of day while they struggle to keep a roof over their heads. Is it any wonder Congress has such a historical low approval rate? It is well past the time to get back on track and work on the side of the middle-class Americans. That's precisely what I've asked this committee to take immediate action on President Obama's job bill nearly a month ago. It's the only comprehensive bill that will immediately create jobs, that will lay a foundation for future economic growth, and it's fully paid for. But the majority has done nothing, and that's why I've asked Americans